It's been posted for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Can you tell me, it looks like, at least at some of the schools, as you indicated, it was less than organized, specifically East High School. Are your plans for Tuesday to keep all schools open? And if so, how do you plan to counter what happened today?
Sure. Yeah, and so certainly, you know, I think at our high schools, particularly where we've got students who are very engaged, very active in expressing their opinions, that we'll see scenes like East. You know, we just came from East. We had staff who were there. Inside the building, it's actually very calm, very quiet, and very orderly on the inside. There aren't a lot of kids left in the building, and so we understand that. Certainly a lot of the commotion that started when students decided to walk out. And so we'll check in with all of our high schools this afternoon and make decisions on a school-by-school basis around where we are.
Are some of the stuff in over their head when we see videos of students chanting and dancing?
Sure. Yeah, you know, all of the schools that I visited myself, I didn't see any classrooms where it felt like there was any problem with what's going on. As students are walking out, obviously, I think we'll see behavior like that at times. But everything that I saw this morning, there definitely was a range of things that were happening, and it was not a normal day. But I didn't see any classrooms where it felt like students weren't safe, that there wasn't supervision, that there wasn't work going on.
For the students who walked out, does that count against as an absence for them or no?
So our absence policies are the same that we use under any circumstances, and we've shared with parents that when parents excuse their students, it's an excused absence. When parents don't excuse their students, it's an unexcused absence. In our high schools, we take attendance every period, and so we're able to see when kids are in class and when they're not in class.
Susana, can you give us a breakdown of how many substitutes today and what the breakdown is in terms of high school, middle school, elementary? Who walked out?
Sure. So I actually don't have that information yet. I just came back into the building and spent about 10 minutes getting ready to come up here. So I don't have that information yet. You know, we're just 3 hours into our elementary school's days, and so I'm not even sure how much of that we've collected. As soon as we have that information available, we'll be sure to share it.
Do you know how many teachers have called out?
I don't. That's what I was just saying. I don't know.
So just to be clear, you are not certain that all high schools will be open tomorrow?
No, to be clear, we're going to assess every school's situation this afternoon and make sure that our plans for tomorrow are communicated in advance of tomorrow.
With regard to what teachers want, we talked to a couple today, and we've been talking to them for weeks now, and they're asking for a simple salary structure. They appreciate that you're at $25 million, but they want a simple salary structure, much like their peers have in neighboring districts. Will you come to the table and offer that tomorrow?
Sure. So I couldn't agree more. One of the things I've said all along is that our pro-comp system has been very complicated. And what we have done in the proposals that we have created has looked more and more like other districts, with some very key differences because of the funding that we get from pro-comp. So pro-comp intentionally was designed to say, let's pay teachers in a different way than every other system. And so there are some key differences in how we've approached thinking about our table. Certainly listened to the feedback that we've heard over time and have made adjustments to that. The goal of negotiations tomorrow is going to be to get to a deal, and I think that's going to take both parties working in collaboration to get to a deal.
Can you scrap pro-comp?
Well, we could. If we did, we'd give up $33 million, and that's not something that I would ever want to do. You know, we're working as hard as we can to get more money in the system, and so there's no reason, I think, to walk away from $33 million that our taxpayers have already dedicated to paying our teachers, as long as we adhere to the outlines of what pro-comp asks us to do.
So from Saturday night to when the talks stop to tomorrow morning, what changes will you make to your proposal when you return to the table?
Sure. So that's part of the work that we'll do together with our bargaining team and with the union. And so I'm looking forward to being able to sit down and talk about, you know, we've made really significant changes already. We have a graph that shows around how much money is in the system. And so the graph started, like if you started back, you know, before I was on the negotiating team, when this all started 14 months ago, there are two lines, and they look like this. This is where the union was, and this is where the district was. Over time, what that has looked like is this. And we're at the point now where we've closed the gap because the district has brought more money to the table to be able to make sure that we are paying our teachers more in their base salaries. We have worked as hard as we can to scrub our budgets. Over the next 2 years, I'll be cutting $20 million out of the central office to help pay for this proposal that we're working on for our teachers, as well as the needs that we know that our bus drivers, our people who work cleaning our buildings, our cafeteria workers, we know we're going to need to be able to help them afford to live in Denver as well. It's really important work to do. It's the right work to do. But I think it's really challenging to think that what the goal of negotiations is for us to get closer to the middle. So it could be as normal as possible for kids. In other schools, I think they made the decision to group kids together in a different way to try to deal with the number of adults that they had to support kids. And so I think it's very different in every place.
What did you see at East?
I wasn't actually at East. Yeah, sorry. I had team members who were at East who've talked to me about it. Yeah, after the students walked out, the inside of the building was very calm, very quiet. Not a lot of kids. Most of the kids had walked out.
So we're going to allow 2 more questions and then do Spanish language.
Okay.
Is federal funding tied to student absence during the strike?
So Colorado uses a count day for our funds, and that count day is in October. So we're not a system where we do an average daily attendance as part of how we consider getting our funding. Yeah.
You can't make a deal on Tuesday. Is the model that's set up right now sustainable?
I think our goal is going to have to be to talk as long as it takes to get to a deal. I'm prepared to do that at any point. I'm really glad we've set up a time to be able to get back to the table, and the goal is going to be to make sure we stay focused and get a deal. In the event that that doesn't happen tomorrow, we're going to continue to evaluate on a daily basis to make sure that our safety is the #1 concern, that our kids are safe, and that we're covering classrooms.
But is it sustainable?
Yeah, the goal is to get a deal. I don't think that anybody would say that what we want to do is have our teachers out of the classrooms. I don't. I want them back. I think it's really important, and that's why I think it's so important that we're talking.
How long before you really become fearful that this becomes a problem?
Yeah,
how long can it go on?
It's a problem now. I want to be really clear. It's a problem today. It is a problem for our kids not to have their teachers in class. And so I want to get this done now. And so I'm very happy that we'll be back at the table. We were ready to negotiate yesterday. We think that the most important thing we can do is get this settled. And so my goal is to spend as much time as it takes to get a deal. Okay. Sure.
¿Cuántos maestros dejaron de asistir hoy a la clase?
So todavía no tenemos los números, apenas tenemos 3 horas en las escuelas primarias, so tan pronto que tenemos esta información podemos compartir.
¿Sustitutos cuántos fueron?
Ya, toda esta información todavía no tengo.
¿Cuándo regresan a la mesa?
Mañana vamos a regresar a las negociaciones mañana a las 10 de la mañana.
¿Qué espera usted?
Espero llegar a un acuerdo. Ya.
¿Cómo ve el futuro con este paro?
Yeah. So, para mí lo que es más importante es llegar a un acuerdo y también es asegurar que estamos usando ProComp, que nos da dinero para pagar a nuestros maestros, y el dinero extra que tenemos es casi 23 millones de dólares extra para pagar a nuestros maestros. Queremos aumentar sus sueldos, pero también es muy importante para nosotros seguir ofreciendo bonos para los que trabajan en las escuelas de más alta pobreza.
¿El distrito no puede ofrecer más? ¿Es todo lo que puede ofrecer?
Estamos haciendo todo lo que podemos. Lo difícil es que vivimos en un estado en donde el dinero para las escuelas es uno de los estados más bajos en fondos para escuelas. Realmente tenemos que luchar con los maestros, no en contra, pero al lado de los maestros para cambiar la manera en que damos dinero a las escuelas aquí en Colorado.
¿Cuántos maestros cree que hoy están o estarán protestando?
Todavía no tenemos esta información. Tan pronto que tenemos esta información, podemos compartirla.
¿Algo más que nos quiera explicar en español?
No, está bien. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.